Hey, Darren. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
How's it going, man?
Not too bad. How are you?
Doing well. Just got back. I had some lunch with my family, so now I'm here doing this.
Oh, I just had dinner and I'm stuffed.
Yeah. What'd you have?
I just came over to my fiance's parents' house, and then just everything. It's just a big deal. They're taking off to Florida for a month, so we had steaks and potatoes with corn, all everything.
Nice. Sounds like a nice kind of get together before they go away. Yeah. So for this interview, if you're cool with it, I'd like to record it so I can put it up on our website.
Sure.
Awesome. Sweet. So we talked a little bit yesterday, and you said that you're on tour right now, and you actually had a show last night. Yeah.
Well, I'm not on tour with the Red Drag Cartel. That tour does not start till March 5 in Tempe, Arizona. I just have bands that I play with back here, cover bands and stuff, and I just had a show last night just because it'll be the last of the shows I get to play with my brothers before I go on tour with Jake.
Okay, what kind of covers are you playing when you come back home?
You know, good old rock and roll stuff, everything from Rod Stewart, The Faces, to Humble Pie, to Frampton, Zeppelin, AC/DC, rock. Nice, the classics, like it. So the stuff you've been putting, the set list you guys have been playing with Red Dragon Cartel, you guys have kind of had a mix of a set list, stuff from the Aussie era, stuff from Badlands, and now all the Red Dragon Cartel stuff. How do the new songs off the album, how are those slotting in with all those classic tracks? Well, we don't feel bizarre about it, but now that you mention it, that it is a very different, style of music. It doesn't sound as dated, but we just kind of all agreed that, this is our first record, and people are still going to want to hear some of the old stuff, and Badlands and Aussie obviously are still very valid to people, so we just wanted to please everybody. We're having you can't please everybody all the time, but we try our best,
Yeah, for sure. So for you as the frontman, as the lead singer, how does it feel to be singing songs that are made famous by, Ozzy and Ray Gillen? Those are pretty big shoes to fill, but it seems like you've kind of gotten into your groove a little bit, and you're in your element when you're singing those tracks.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, I was a drummer for most of my career in a band called Harem, Scarem, and I did a lot of singing, but when I was home, you can work a lot in here, just playing covers, and it's fun, So you learn to mimic, you learn to adapt, sing a bunch of different styles. I mean, Ozzy's not so difficult. Ray Gillen's a son of a bitch kind of singing, though. So it's not easy, but it's also, I find the transition going from, hard rock singing to the soulful kind of way that Ray Gillen sings. That is the thing that's takes a lot of thought, and it requires sobriety.
So is there a favorite Ray Gillen era song that you like to sing live?
Well, I was not aware of Sun Red Sun because I believe that record was a record that was released after his passing. I wasn't aware of it, and Jake played it for me, and I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful song. And then I downloaded it, and I was like, wow, this is a great song. That song to me just feels like freedom to me,
Mm-hmm. So in addition to those kind of songs, you guys are playing the stuff off the new album now that the album's been out a little while. How do you guys go about deciding what songs from the album that you're going to play live?
Well, Jake's the big kahuna, so he sort of decides. People are always throwing in the mix. They wanted us to do Killer of Giants. He wasn't comfortable with that, but I'm pretty sure we'll add that to the set one day. We're going to mix it up. We're going to take away and add as we go along, just to keep ourselves motivated and interested and challenged. So I think that will change as we go along. I mean, right now we're a fairly new band, and so going out playing the 14 odd songs that we're doing in a night, we're still fairly new to it, so we're not at that point yet. But every now and then in rehearsal, Jake will whip out Killer Giants or something that, that's how Rock and Roll Rebel ended up in it. He just started playing it, and everybody kind of knew it. So, well, we should play that. And like, yeah, okay. sort of like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you guys don't really have kind of like a set routine you go through to make set lists. You guys kind of just play what feels right at the time.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a selection of songs. We were very limited to the amount of time between finishing the record, rehearsal, and shows. We were very limited. A matter of fact, our first show, which was probably shouldn't have happened, we had 4 rehearsals. And we should have had more, but we just could not make that happen because the record was in the way. Me and Jonas are from Canada, so we had to get there, and everybody's schedules had to align. So, so now that we've got all the hard part done, now I'm just going to fly back at the end of this month, rehearse a bit, and then we start the tour, which will carry us on to July. So far.
Yeah, so I think I was looking online. You guys got a couple festivals lined up, yeah?
Yeah, we're playing Sweet Rock Fest, Castle Donington with Aerosmith. I think the Sweet Rock Fest is with Sabbath. And a lot of fun stuff to do. We're doing the Monster Rock Cruise, which is going to be a very pleasant quasi vacation rock show for me and Jonas, since we're from the land of the frozen.
Yeah. I've been talking to some of the people who are working on Standing Room Only magazine up in Canada, and they're saying the same thing. So with these new shows that you're doing, that you've done, and that you're going to do, you've got Jake E. Lee on stage with you, and he's quite the presence on stage. So how does that kind of affect your live performance for you as the frontman of the band with Jake on stage?
Well, when our first show we did that, I mean, nobody told me how to be or how to do anything. Like, Jake never told me how to sing. He never did anything. As a matter of fact, he kind of apologized after, because I didn't even give you any tips or anything. He came up to me at the Grove and he goes, "I want to do tonight what I should have done at our first show." And I go, "What's that?" He goes, "I just want to wish you a good show and to have fun and pace yourself," because it was a really big stage. And he gave me some advice. But like, what happened was, we start that very first show at the Whiskey. The first song was Alternate Turn. As far as I felt, it was a cover band. We were playing an Aussie song, which I would do with a band back home. So I just kind of went how I would do it normally. And then people were upset, saying like, I'm upstaging Jakey, and I'm like, no way in hell was that my intention. So I just sort of pulled it back a little bit more, and it's Jake's show. So right now, people are there to see him, and I'm there to sing the songs the best I can, and that's my position right now. And I'll tell you, it's a lot less work.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I was looking at some of your more recent interviews, and you were talking about how when you first got this gig, you were a little unclear as to what role you had in the band and what audience expected you to do. So now that you've had some gigs, have you started to kind of define that role for yourself?
Yeah, they never even really told me even since. I just sort of, I read some of the comments. I stopped reading after they crushed my soul. But I just learned they weren't wrong. They were just, maybe callous, a little harsh. But
yeah.
I learned everything the hard way.
For sure, yeah.
I know my position now. Say again?
Yeah, no, that's I know I read a lot of the stuff from that first show, and it was a lot of it was really harsh, but I know since then it seems, from what I've seen online, watched the videos, it seems like the shows that came after that, they're going pretty well now, yeah?
Yeah, I just let Jakey be, and I sing what I'm supposed to and just enjoy the night. I mean, we're a fairly new band. We're still getting to know each other, but we hit it off. All of us hit it off. We've known each other 20 years. We get along famously well, and being around these guys is just a great pleasure. It's more fun than I could imagine it being.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what being in a band's about, is having fun and making great music.
Yeah, but it's also kind of a magical moment when 4 people can get along so well. I mean, that doesn't always happen, right?
Yeah, definitely. I know after the show, the one at the Whiskey, you and the band, you both kind of released a few statements kind of just explaining what happened. And so why was it important for you guys to release those statements and kind of just come clear with everyone right up front? Because I know a lot of bands wouldn't do that. They would just kind of let it go. But you guys made a point to put those statements out.
It was actually up to me. I just went ahead and did it. I didn't even ask. I didn't want anyone upset with Jakey. I didn't want anyone upset with me. I just wanted to shed some light on the situation and move on. I mean, I'm just a human being, man. So, like I told you, I learned everything the hard way.
Yeah, everyone has bad days at work or whatever. So, that's
that
kind
was
of
just something I felt like doing, and the guys afterwards were actually thanking me for doing that. But they said you didn't have to do that, But I said, well, I'm the new guy, so I felt I did. So
yeah, I mean that's something that a lot of bands wouldn't do. That takes a lot of maturity on like the part of you to be able to put that statement out. So I thought it was really cool to read those statements, and it seems I've watched the videos afterwards. It seems like Jakey Lee picked you for a reason, and there's a reason you're in the band, and you're proving to everyone why you're in the band.
True.
So
yeah, I didn't have to prove anything to Jakey. He wasn't even upset with me at all. I apologized to him because we're not even talking about it. It's not your fault. He blamed himself because I shouldn't have put that much pressure on you for our first show. But
yeah,
rehearsals, mind you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are gonna have plenty more rehearsals. The shows after were fine. So, but let's talk a little bit. Let's move away from that show and let's actually get to the album that you guys just released. It came out at the end of last month. And for me, when I listened to it, the first thing I thought was it was an incredibly diverse record. There's so many different sounds and styles going into this album. So how were you guys able to capture so many different styles on this one record?
Well, I think it's because all from different backgrounds. Me and Jake have very similar tastes in music. Like I love punk rock, and I don't know why, I just do. I like funk. I like all kinds of music. I think what happened was these ideas that Jakey had were written over many, many years. So you go through musical changes in a matter of 10 years, right? So we just went with a riff, and then we worked on the song in whatever direction it was taking us. There was a lot of other songs that were written and recorded that we just put to bed. Matter of fact, I heard one of them made it as a bonus track that wasn't supposed to happen.
Oh, really?
But yeah, Jake wasn't all happy, but that's another story. It's just we wrote, because it's a brand new band, and we've never had any preconceived ideas of what the record was going to be. We were just able to make each individual song sound the way it made us want it to sound. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If this song feels this way, there was no concept. We weren't trying to write hit singles. We were just trying to write songs that we really, really liked ourselves. Because we have to commit to playing these songs for years, so we better like them, and be proud of them. So I think that, and plus it was recorded over a long period of time. Like, I mean, I worked on the record 7-8 months, and they had been working on it probably 6 months before I even showed up. So there was a lot of thought went into it. A lot of the songs that are on the record were rewritten sometimes 5 times. If we liked the music, and we had to write lyrics and melodies that suited as good as, if not better than the music. Otherwise, we'd rewrite it. And so that's just sort of how we just tried to write great songs. Okay.
So for the songwriting process, you guys kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and it doesn't sound like there was any really like egos. No one was too attached to something, and if it needed to be changed, you guys changed it to fit the band.
Absolutely, there was no egos, and I never even saw any of that arise. Everybody is a songwriter in this, and I think that was part of the reason you got the gig is because you had some abilities. But I mean, we're all veterans musicians, so we've written a lot of songs, and whoever wrote the best part usually won.
Were there parts that people would primarily write? Like, did you primarily write lyrics, or was everyone just kind of collaborating as a whole?
Like I said, when I came into the picture, a lot of it was already done. I basically took what I had and fixed certain phrasings to make them sound better, different way of saying the same thing, that kind of thing. But a lot of that work was already done. Mind you, half the tracks on the record were sung by other singers, so I didn't have really anything to do with that at all. But the tracks that I sang, I got to put my 10 cents in. But a lot of it was already written, and we were just finessing it and buffering it to make it the best that it could possibly be in our eyes. And once we were comfortable with it, that's when we relaxed it.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned, the other singers that were on the album. This album featured a ton of different guest vocalists, just guest musicians in general. So did you get to work with any of those guest musicians, and how was that like working with this kind of like a revolving rotation of players on this album?
Well, yeah, I know Brett and Fitzchief, and I know a few of the people, and I've met Rob and Xander before, but no, I never worked with them on the record. What would happen was they would send me a rough 2-track of it, and I would work on the song in Canada, and then I'd send them the tracks, and then they would go through them and comp a vocal track for the record. Like just say, I sing each song maybe 10 times. They'll take the best performance or whatever that they decide, and then if somebody's, I just keep doing it. I did it for like 8 months before I even met them. Before I even went to Vegas to meet the band, I would work on this record. So in my eyes, I didn't even feel like it was my gig yet. I was just basically writing songs for this record and helping out with this record. It was only once I went down to Vegas and rehearsed for a week that he said, it's your gig. So.
Right. So do you think, it might be a little bit far in advance since the first album just came out, but do you think on the next record you guys will do something similar, or are you going to focus more on just the 4 core members of the band?
You know what? That's pretty much anything I could say to answer that would be complete speculation.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, like I said, I think it might be a little bit more soulful, maybe. I don't know. I'd like, maybe I just hope it would be, I love the Badlands stuff, but at the end of the day, man, those records are there. They exist. We don't need to redo Badlands. We don't need to redo Haji. Those songs exist. So, there's some fans that, are like, oh, it doesn't sound like Badlands. Well, no, he already did that. It's time to move on and invent something new. And I think he's accomplished that. I mean, right away it's Jakey playing the guitar, but yet it's now.
Yeah, I noticed the record there. It's definitely taking a lot of influences from previous music that's classic, but it's also kind of looking forward and trying to look at what bands are doing today and what's what works today in 2014, and you're not trying to just replicate other bands.
Well, that wasn't even an intention. I just think you grow as a songwriter, you grow as a player, and you're in the now. I mean, like if somebody would have asked me to write a song that was similar to say 1990 or 89 or the Dawkins era, the Poison era, I don't think anybody could do that. I don't think Don Dawkins can go back and unlearn what he's learned about songwriting and write something that would fit into that time frame. I mean, some people might be able to, but I don't think I could. You can't unlearn what you've learned about songwriting, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, you guys have all, you've all been in the business. You're all veterans. So for you specifically, what vocalists have you, learned from and taken influence over the years to kind of influence your own singing?
I have a very, very diverse musical vocabulary. I mean, some of my favorite singers are like Doug Pinnick, from King's X, Terrence Trent D'Arby, another soulful brother. I'm a huge Mark Farner singer, and Don Brewer from Grand Funk. Obviously, Robert Plant is in there, Rob Halford, Graham Bonnet. There's so many great singers, Coverdale in the early days, I was not a singer for most of my career. I was a drummer, and I sang backups.
What made you transition to vocalist?
I don't know. I think every drummer's just a starving frontman. I don't know. I just got pretty good at it, I guess, and you know, like to me, it's all about the song. It's not really about the singer. It's about the song. Because I mean, I can still listen to the Clash, London Calling, and get goosebumps. You know, I mean, it's all about the amount, the people that are in that unit creating that sound, and it doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be perfectly anything. It just has to give you that this is real vibe, and that's kind of what I shoot for.
There you go. I mean, that's what you gotta aim for. And for me, on the Red Dragon Cartel album, there's a couple songs for me that really stand out, and they're completely opposite ends of the spectrum. There's Fall from the Sky, Seagull, and Slave. To me, those are two high points on the album, but they're completely different. So talk to me a little bit about those tracks and how they kind of came about and like what makes them so different.
Well, Slave was a very difficult song. That one was rewritten many, many times. And all that Jake said to me, he goes, I want you to sing it like Brian Ferry from Roxy Music. I'm like, what?
Okay.
So, no, I'm not kidding you. That's exactly what he said. I want you to sort of sing it like Brian Ferry. I'm like, okay, I'm not all that versed with Roxy Music. I didn't know some of this stuff, but I listened. But then I got the idea what he wanted. He wanted a counter melody. He wanted it to be smooth and almost loungy over top of the intensity of the guitar doing that insane little machine gun riff. Mm-hmm. Fall from the Sky, just it sounded like that song to me sounds like how Freedom would sound if it had a song, yeah. Right? And so I sort of sang it like the wind, like there's a lot of air in my voice, and there's a lot of kind of pain. It's kind of, you know, it's just letting go, and I sang it with a lot of air, so it sort of sounds like the wind kind of thing. I know it sounds a little strange, and even saying it out loud right now, I sound like a freaking freak. But anyway, it was just this really weird chorded song and a really loose feel rhythm, and that it just dictated how the vocal had to be sung. And I really love that song too, and I'm surprised that you find that one of your favorites because to me that was a really, really unique song.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially where it's placed on the album, coming off of the first three tracks, Fall from the Sky is something so incredibly different than those three tracks. It kind of got me to sit up and listen a little bit more intently, and listening to everything that's going on within the song, the lyrics especially, I really enjoyed the lyrics, and it was just something that really brought out the diversity of the record, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we were going to call the song, just call it Seagull, and I'm like, well, why Seagull? Why not something more regal, like Eagle? and then, but the Seagull's sort of the sad bird, you know, the bird everybody feels about sad.
Yeah.
Old French fries or whatever, you know. It's sort of the scavenger, right?
Yeah.
And that's how that song, the vibe came out on that song. I really, really do like that song.
Well, have you guys got a chance to do that one live yet?
No. We will. We just haven't gotten to it yet. But I think what I want to do with Jake is do an acoustic version of that. You know, on the radio or something. So we're on the tour bus. We'll spend some time playing guitar together.
Nice. Yeah, I think an acoustic version of that one would work pretty well. And then another one that kind of stripped down like all the heaviness, all the distortion was the last track on the album, Exquisite Tenderness. To me, that was another moment where I was like, that's completely different than anything I've heard yet. And it was just Jake playing grand piano. And I thought it would be really cool if that sound in the future gets to be incorporated into some other songs. Do you think you guys will start to add those kind of layers of sounds to new songs potentially?
I think it'll happen if it's called for. I mean, that was the very first song. Exquisite Tenderness is the very first song Jake ever wrote. He was like 6 years old.
Yeah, I remember I picked up the physical album when I was reading the liner notes, and it said that, and it kind of blew me away that a 6-year-old could write something like that.
Well, he was schooled in piano, and he knows quite a bit about theory. And his mother, made him take piano lessons. Like when I met him, I didn't even know he played piano. But then I heard this track, I'm like, well, it makes sense. I mean, the guy knows everything about a guitar neck. And I mean, if we rewrite something that calls for it, yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't happen. I mean, that's the beauty about this band. There are no rules for us. We're going to do whatever we want, but we're going to do it the best possible we can. So if you like it, great. If you don't, well, there's a lot of other crap records out there to play.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those, like, hop on board or you're going to get left behind kind of thing.
Absolutely. Well, take it or don't. Like, it doesn't matter to us. People, you've got to remember that a musician does it for himself first. If you don't do it for yourself first, then you're basically faking it.
Yeah, for sure. So when did that kind of connection, that personal connection to the music really like hit home for you on this record?
Well, just hearing the music and how there were no rules and the freedom I was given. Like, they really didn't tell me what to do. They was just like, sing it however you want it, and yeah, keep going that way. And there was just all this freedom, and the best part is, I did a lot of records with a band that some of the music was contrived, and there's really nothing wrong with contrived music if that's the kind of band you are, but this band is so not that. Yeah. And it was a nice change of pace for me, because like you said, the record's very diverse, and that's I look at that as a huge compliment,
Yeah, definitely. So with all the guest musicians on the album and the diversity that this album holds, how has it been transferring those tracks to the live stage? Because there are some tracks where the only like core member of the band on the album is Jake, but then you bring in the other 3 guys in the band. How have they been working live?
Well, we brought in guys that can do it all, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, a school musician can pretty much, listen to a track and play it. It's not a difficult thing to do at all, I guess. But it is stripped down. I mean, there's not a lot of overdubs as far as guitars go. Mm-hmm. But, I play guitar, but I don't have to. And that's great.
There you go. It kind of opens up that freedom you were talking about, that you guys have the ability to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've never just been the singer. I've been singing in bands playing guitar. I've been singing in bands playing drums. But just to be a singer, it's like it allows me just to really get into it now, and I'm really enjoying it. I can only get better, right? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, sounds like you guys are well on your way. You guys are rehearsing. The shows are sounding great. So, in addition to those festivals that you mentioned at the beginning, what's kind of on the horizon for Red Dragon Cartel this year?
World domination.
There you go. Perfect. Well, I know I missed you guys out in LA. I'm down in Southern California, so I look forward to you guys coming back again. So.
Yeah, whereabouts are you in California?
Yeah, I'm at Irvine, so I'm close to LA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll be back out that way fairly soon, I think.
All right, cool. Well, I will definitely make sure to catch you at the show. And so kind of before we go, what kind of bands have you personally been listening to, like have you gotten into recently that are like new?
Okay. I found this band through a friend and they blow my mind. A band called Foxy Shazam. You heard them?
I don't think I have, no.
Go download the record Church of Rock and Roll, Foxy Shazam. You want to talk about diversity? Holy crap. They sound like Queen. They sound like Marvin Gaye. They sound like metal. It's just, they're insane. Insane, man. And they're all young dudes.
Oh, yeah?
The singer reminds me of a very, very Freddie Mercury with a larger range, if you can imagine that.
That's pretty hard to beat Freddie Mercury's range, so I will definitely give him a listen, yeah.
Download that record. You'll freak out.
For sure.
You can't, if you like music at all, you cannot not love this record.
Sweet, man. I will check it out. Would you try and get in contact with them and bring them on tour maybe?
Say again?
If you could, would you bring those guys on tour with you?
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see you guys tour together soon. It's been great talking today to Darren. Before we go, is there anything you want to say to your fans who will be listening to this when it goes on our website?
Yeah. Well, I mean, play them straight. Actually, I'd like you to play something you dig, because I like the whole damn record. So unless you want to play the whole record.
Yeah. All right. We will definitely get something up there. So it's been awesome talking to you today. Thanks for taking the time to give me a call. And I know myself, everyone at Standing Room Only Magazine, we're all huge supporters of you guys, and we wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you very much, my brother.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good day, man.
You too, man. Be well.
All right. Bye.